Hey guys, it's Sam, and today I'm going to talk about bookish productivity and time management. And this video is being sponsored by Skillshare, which I will talk about more later. So a lot of you guys have asked me over the last couple of years how I am able to make videos and read while being so busy. I am currently finishing up, almost done, with graduate school, and that involved being employed full-time with my job that I've had for a while now, having a full-time internship, having full-time classes, and classes that changed rather frequently because I had a year-round schedule of 7-week courses back to back to back, so all of my classes were squeezed from semester-long courses into 7-week courses. Does that sound like a personal hell? Because it is. And then also having this YouTube thing and a life and other hobbies and friends and stuff like that. So it has been rather challenging. And whenever people ask me this, I do kind of like balk a bit, especially now towards the end, because I do feel like I have not been as productive, that my ability to film as often, although I'm still getting videos up, but for a while there I was having things like pre-filmed and was being really good about it, and just time has gotten away from me the more and more things build up. As your graduate school career goes on, you get more and more things piled on, more and more projects, and less time. So I definitely do not read as much as I used to, although I'm sure that'll go back up when graduate school is done. But before I was in graduate school, I was reading like 17 books a month sometimes, between like 12 and 17, I feel like was my average, which is, I don't even know how that happened. And now it's like 3 to 6 is like a pretty good average, which I know for a lot of people is not a small amount, and it's not a small amount, but I still feel like compared to what it was before, I get a little like meh. But I am fairly well equipped, with all that being said, to talk about bookish productivity and reading and fitting things in like YouTube and reading with such a crammed schedule. So the first and most important thing is using the time that you do have. So we're all very guilty, and I am very guilty of this, of just using the time that you have on mindless things and being like, oh, I don't have time to do anything, when really it's like, if you looked, you could tell that you spend like 2 hours a day on social media, for example. I recently learned there's a way you can check how much time you're spending on different apps and social media and stuff. If you have an iPhone, I don't know about any other phone, I'm sorry, but I'm sure it's a similar thing, so you could search around, but you can go in your iPhone into general and battery and open, there's a little like clock symbol, and it opens up all of your apps, and it tells you within the last 24 hours, and I think on average over 30 days, how much time you spend in a certain app. So you can be like, how much time do I spend on Twitter? How much time do I spend on this? How much time do I spend on mobile games? Whatever. And you can kind of tell that way, like, oh, a lot of time that I could have been spending reading or doing whatever other hobby that you want to do is actually being spent on like Instagram. Maybe I should cut that like in half, and then I can spend that time doing that hobby. But I do find that if I catch myself scrolling aimlessly through social media, either I take a pause and think like, do I just need this mindlessness and I really can't read right now, because sometimes I am so overwhelmed that I just need like that kind of self-care, and that's totally fine. Or would I rather actually be reading right now, and if I looked back on this, would I be like, wow, you should have just been reading? And then read if I felt the second way. Another thing is, like, sometimes when you're really busy, other hobbies kind of have to go by the wayside. So I've talked about before how like video games right now aren't really happening. Like, as far as the media consumption thing, for me it's like this like Venn diagram sort of, and I have to pick 2 typically, or just 1. Right now it's just 1, but usually it's like TV, video games, and reading, and right now it's like just reading. Usually it's video games and reading, and like TV is the one that's always gonna fall by the wayside more for me, but right now it's just reading. So I haven't spent a lot of time playing video games or anything. But if you do have multiple hobbies that you want to get to, that you are juggling like that, like you do want to play video games and read or whatever, what I do very frequently is I will set a timer and then switch off between those activities. So I'll set a timer for like half an hour, so I'll play video games for half an hour, and then I'll read for half an hour and go back. And I like have to stop. Or like if I'm reading, I get to the end of the chapter. If I'm playing a video game and I'm in the middle of a battle, I finish the battle, whatever. And then I do the other thing for half an hour. And I find that that makes me like very happy, because I'm able to do both things and do what I want to and feel very like fulfilled about it, but getting both things done and feeling more productive about it. That's also something that you can do as far as if you're like doing something work or school related. I've done that as well, where it's like I'm going to, usually I don't set a timer. With school and work stuff for me, I work as like long as possible, and then when I need a break, when my brain's like you have to break, then I'll break and do like, I'll read or whatever for a little while. So I do the same thing with like mandatory activities as well. I also set a goal for myself this year that I wanted to read every day, and I said that My goal would be to read 15 minutes a day on weekdays and half an hour on weekends. I'm not always successful with that, but it is something that I do track, which I'll talk about in a second. And it is kind of a motivating thing where it's like, I just need to read for 15 minutes. Usually that's about a chapter, depending on how long it is. And even on the weekends, if I can just get the minimum of 15 minutes in, that's really nice too. And that just helps you kind of like chug away at things and be like, there's a little bit of time. 15 minutes is nothing. Even if you're super busy, you can usually fit it in. And if you don't, it's honestly no big deal, but that is something that I kind of say, like a very small time amount. And usually if I start reading for those 15 minutes, I'll just keep reading anyway. I also have employed the use of audiobooks a lot this year. I feel like at least half of what I read in a month is audiobooks, and that's because I listen to them on my commute, especially for my internship. But my internship is now done. But especially for my internship, I had an hour commute one way. So I would listen to audiobooks, and that would be a way that I would spend my time, and that would be a way I'd actually get some reading done. And I would read books, typically speaking, that were already on my shelf as well. So I'd read books from my TBR first before I got into other ones. And that way I felt productive because I was chipping away at my TBR while also reading in the time that I'd just be spending like wasted if I wasn't reading an audiobook. The other lifesaver for me, time management and productivity wise this year, has been my bullet journal. I've talked about my bullet journal a few times now, both on this channel and my personal channel, so I will leave a link for the video from this channel up above for you to check out if you're interested. But this has been an absolute lifesaver because I don't know how I would have managed all the things that I have to get done for work, school, everything else without this and everything being compiled in this. One of the things that really helps, like I said, with the goal that I have of reading every day is I have a little goal habits checklist every week in my bullet journal, and I check off when I get that thing done. So one of my columns is reading, and I will check off when I read, and then at the end of the month I wrap up and I figure out like how much time I did spend reading or how many days I actually accomplished that goal, and that's really motivating as well. So for example, for the entire month of May, because it was such a busy month, we were moving into this new apartment, I was finishing my internship, a lot of things were happening with work, like it was just crazy. My only goal for May that I was devoting, I wasn't setting up a new goal because usually I set up a new goal every month, that's something. I just strictly focused on just the reading for May, and I got a lot of reading done that way. Also YouTube related, I do have a video schedule list in here. So at the beginning of the month, I have a whole page that I devote to my videos for that month. And as I think of things, I write them down. So I have the dates because I upload every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I have the dates there, and I fill things in because sometimes at the beginning of the month, I already know what's going to be on certain days because I'll have like a top 5 Wednesday, or I have already read some books that I want to review on the coming Mondays, stuff like that. And I will fill those in as the month goes on, and I see my whole kind of video schedule, things I might have to plan ahead for, stuff like that. And I also have little boxes that says like, I've already filmed this, I already have edited this, I have the thumbnail ready, and now it's scheduled. And I do like to schedule videos in advance if I can, and have a bunch of them kind of queued up. That hasn't happened in a while because I just have not even had the time to film as many to get queued up as I would have liked to, but that is something that I like doing as well. This also helps me in general just plan out my week. Every Sunday I sit down with my other planner because I have a calendar for work where my like calendar stuff goes, and then this has like more detail and everything else, and then it is like the actual like Bible for my life. But I do have a planner that just has all my appointments in it, so I sit down with my planner every Sunday and write out my weekly spread, which is very simple. I've showed people before, I've showed it in other videos, so again I'm not going to do it right now, but I fill out my weekly spread and then I know all the tasks that I'm going to do, not just appointments but also tasks, and I can fill in for YouTube specifically, like this is the day I'm going to film, this is the day I'll have more time to edit, stuff like that. As I mentioned, I also bulk film. I have bulk filmed since before I even got into school, so I will film at least 3 videos at a time, which is usually a week's worth of videos. At this point in time, I'm so busy that I can only film like 3 at a time, but in the past I would film like 2 weeks of videos and have those all queued up and edited and scheduled way in advance so that I wouldn't even have to worry about them. I'm sort of getting back to that now, and I think I'll get back to that definitely when I'm out of school, but that is really helpful. Like when you have the time to film a ton of videos, no one cares that you're wearing the same makeup and the same like hairstyle and the same clothes. Like literally nobody notices. I used to really care about that when I first started my channel. I would change my lipstick sometimes in my shirt, and it's like literally no one cares because it doesn't actually matter when you film. But yeah, the bullet journal has been a way for me personally to keep my head on straight with everything, whether that's like reading and YouTube related or like work and school. Like I don't know how I functioned without it, honestly. And lastly, just know that sometimes it's important to take breaks. If you are not enjoying something and you're forcing yourself to do it, whether that's YouTube or any other social media or reading or any other hobby, then it's no longer fun anymore and you're just taking all the joy out of it and you're going to come to resent that activity. I mentioned the audiobooks. Right now, I'm not really on an audiobook kick. I'm using my commutes to listen to a ton of podcasts. Podcasts are making me the most happy right now, and I'm listening to a lot of more educational ones as well, and they're a lot more fun right now for me than audiobooks. And even though in my head I'm like, oh, I wish I could be reading more, I'm like, this is helping my life and beneficial to my life and makes me happy and is self-care and soothing, so I'm doing this with my time right now. There was also a couple times in May when I didn't get a video up every day that I usually upload, which like never happens. I've stuck to my video upload schedule the entire time I've been on YouTube, but a couple times I missed because I was like, you know what? I do not have the time. It's not a matter of like you need to make time. This was a case of like crisis mode. I do not have time. So if that's happening, like don't beat yourself up being like, I need to be reading or I need to be doing this. Like, no, give yourself the care so that when you get back to those things, they are actually enjoyable and fulfilling activities and self-care type activities and not things that you are actively dreading. If you like learning about time management and productivity, Skillshare is also a great resource for this. So Skillshare is an online learning community that has classes on a ton of different topics from business, time management, art type stuff, running a small business, freelance, everything like that. They have so many classes on productivity and time management. I think when I typed in time management, there was over 1,000 classes that came up just on that topic. And a membership with Skillshare gives you unlimited access to a ton of classes in all of those different topics from experts in their field. I recently took a class on organizing your life time management, and it was a very simple, straightforward class, very beautifully shot, and just gave a lot of tips about time management. There's also a ton of classes on like different apps you can use, how to organize Google calendars, how to use bullet journals. If Skillshare is something you're interested in, it's also very affordable in comparison to other online learning platforms because it is less than $10 a month. And as Skillshare is sponsoring this video, I do have a link down below for the first 500 people that click on it. They get their first 2 months free at Skillshare. So you can try it out, see if it's for you, see if you like it, and try out some of the different classes. Like I said, there are a ton of different topics and things that you might be interested in, ways that you can learn new skills and just like develop your personal life or your portfolio for work or anything like that. So those are some ways that I personally remain productive and manage my time and get reading and bookish things done. But again, like I said, I'm only human and sometimes things fall by the wayside and you have to give yourself the space for that. But this has definitely kept me afloat and into my hobbies and my passions during a time in my life that has been incredibly stressful and busy. So comment down below and let me know some of your time management tips. If they're for any hobby specifically or reading or whatever, comment down below and let me know. So thank you all for watching and I'll see y'all guys soon. Bye!